Alright, about to start on the RX-178 Gundam Mk-II A.E.U.G version. This is the Master Grade Kit 1100 by Bandai. Okay, so far I have the pod built with the pilot, and that's all I've got built so far. I don't know if you can really see him in there. Pull that out, and I don't feel like taking it apart. It was made break it. I tried to take it apart. And there's the pilot. Now I'm getting ready to start on the head unit, since the fact that it requires paint because I hate the stickers. I've already primed the eyepieces using Tamiya fine surface primer for plastic metal white. This stuff works really good, but I primed it. I'm going to airbrush it. That way it's black, and then I can do the detailing on the eyes. Alright, so now using a black that I made, real cheap stuff, and using a cheap airbrush, doesn't really matter as long as you get it coated with this part here. I mean, you could do spray paint, but I like this method. It turns out pretty good. So I'm just gonna airbrush this and get the black in there. And I'm just using this regular old cheap Walmart paint mixed with water and a little bit of alcohol. Put it up. The part. I mean, once it dries, which takes only a matter of seconds, with this mixture of paint, it's very cheap paint. It doesn't adhere well, especially if you mix it like I mix it. You want to use a really good clear coat, which I use stuff like you would use on furniture, but it works on plastic too. This right here, I spray it down, it locks in the paint, it will not come off. I have not had any bad results from this. I know many people do on the Gunpla forums and all that, or on other stuff, but that's because they like to spend the money on that more expensive stuff, which is pretty much the same thing, and they flex that they spent more. Alright, so for the next part here, I'm moving on while I wait for the eye unit little lens part to dry. I'm going to go ahead and start on the next part. This is for the neck. And just trim up the nubs off of there. And being as this has got some lines on it, just for detail, you could either use the Tamiya panel accent, black or gray, depends on the color of part. I prefer the black, but on something like this, I just go with black Gundam marker, and these things are really good for doing this. Just get a Q-tip, clean it right on up after you're done. I know some people suggest that you use a little bit of alcohol, but I don't tend to leave it on there. I do small lines at a time, and then I mean, it ain't got to be pretty when you put it on there to begin with, but just take use a Q-tip, use your finger, whatever works for you, really. I mean, it's all about preference. I'm no master at it, so, but I do good enough that I like it, so that's all that matters. Once you get it all cleaned up, then that's what it'll look like. I don't know if that's really got a good focus on it. Well, let's go in and assemble the rest of the neck. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out the rest of the parts, and I will start recording again. Alright, now that I've got all the parts cut up, I don't normally do detail on the underparts, especially if they're not going to be seen, but something like this on the chest, these are like vent parts, and I'll make sure that if any of it is visible from the face side of the kit once the armor or plating is put on, that it will be, if it is visible, then something like this. These vents, they look a little dirty or something, and from what I could tell on the box, I've never built, by the way, I meant to mention in the beginning, this is the RX-178 2.0 Mark II master grade kit. So a little bit different. I've built the 1.0 kit in the Titans version. Very old kit. From what I could tell from this kit so far, it's a lot more advanced. Come with a stand and everything. You could do the little launch base. Still has the little shoelace like tubing material that I will have to cut. But comes with a lot more stuff. So far, I mean, even the cockpit area is a lot different on the A.E.U.G and the older kits. I want to say they're from like the 90s or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But they just lack the detail. But other than that, I don't really tend to do much detailing on the inside of the kit. So, alright. Let's start here on number 1, technically panel number 4. I've already trimmed all these pieces up and everything, so don't have to worry about doing that. A little bit of glare on my book here. I'm not used to building from this angle. And actually, I'm going to take this back off because I noticed that this piece actually might end up getting seen on the shoulder piece here on this. It is actually kind of a little bit visible from what I see on the pictures of the side of the box. And in case you haven't ever seen the box on this kit, which I'm assuming if you watch this video or you're watching this video, this is the box for this kit. And I was set this off to the side, use this for my references so I can see where I may need panel lining, so forth. Anyways, back to the build. Like I said, I noticed that this part here will actually be a little bit visible, so I do want this to at least look out a little bit halfway decent, which I've not had any complaints from any of the kits that I've done before, or at least no complaints that I've thought of on my own kits. I don't really care what other people think on my kits. Well, I do, but for me personally, I like it, so feel free to chime in. Any positive or negative feedback, I do not mind. It's always good to improve. Granted, I started on building models with model cars and painting canvases. Never figured I'd be doing giant mecha. But Gundam is awesome. So, and I'm assuming that's why most of the people are watching this video, if you've made it this far. Go ahead and get this part finished up, and then I'm going to assemble it all. Try to make this video as short as possible. This is my first time making a video on this subject. Most of my kits, they can take anywhere from, depending on what I do, about 12 hours. 14 on the, 14, no, I'm going to say about 17 hours is what it took me on my perfect grade I did about 15 years ago. I'm looking forward to doing another one soon, once this coronavirus junk ends. By the way, I'm also trying not to cuss. I cuss like a sailor, but never know when there might be kids watching, so I don't want anybody to get in trouble for watching my video or get any dislikes due to cussing. Pretty sure I'll get a couple dislikes just because people don't like the way I build, so on and so forth. But it is what it is. Alright. By the way, I got this kit at GundamPlanet.com. Really good website. Helpful people. Great customer service. I have not had any problems with them. The only issue I've ever had is an item I ordered was out of stock, and it was an error on their computer system, and they contacted me, wanted to know if I wanted a refund, and they ship out the rest of my stuff, or would I like to get a different kit. And I actually ended up getting another kit that I wanted, or actually one I didn't know I wanted, but once I got it, just an impulse buy, I turned out to really like it. And I think it was the Wing Gundam version, the Ver-Ka, as some people call it, or the version KA, whatever tickles your fancy. And I tell you now, that kit was really amazing. I was thoroughly pleased with it. I know some people said they had trouble with it holding up the gun. I ran into a little bit of a problem with that, but the way I tend to pose my kits, I didn't have any issues. And I was thoroughly happy with that kit. Great kit, highly recommend it. Once again, like I said, that's GundamPlanet.com. Great people. If you have any problems with them, just give them a call. don't sit there and fret about it or bash them or anything like that. And right now, they've been shipping out kits to me, doing really good with all that's going on with this coronavirus and everything. And surprisingly, I mean, I think they're in the middle of a big move as well. So for them to get kits out like that, that's them tripping along, trying to help people out. So big shout out to them. They don't pay me or anything. I just really like that company. So check them out. Matter of fact, that's where I got this kit. That's where I got all my supplies, except for my nippers. I just regular. I got these at a hobby store, Hobby Lobby. Um, they're expensive. I mean, I had a gift card, got these. I normally just trim my parts out with an X-Acto blade. But I got these, and these are actually really good. Really enjoy these. Like a Xuron or something, Xuron. Great nippers. And these are actually offset. I had some that were flush, and they tended to kind of scratch things up, and I don't like to do a lot of sanding unless I have to. And as for my sandpaper, I use 3 millimeter. This stuff here works really good. This is a P600, and it's really fine. You can buy it in a really big bulk pack, and it is, I mean, really good. And now I go in with some smaller wedges of sandpaper, little foam with sandpaper on it. Those work really good, especially like contouring parts. But so far, this is what I have. Let's see here. If I can get some light over here. And on to the next part. Show this earlier. I meant to show this earlier. This is actually, I like to separate my parts by their alphabetical order, then pull them as I need them. Helps me kind of breeze through things a little faster. But about to set back up on the tripod and continue the build. Okay, and I totally forgot about this. For any of you that do like stickers or decals or whatever be you, dry transfers, which being as I'm recording this, I probably will use some dry transfers for this kit. You got your standard stickers, junk. These are dry transfers. They generally come with a little piece of paper on the back. Let's see if I can get this where you can actually see it. These you just put on the part and rub them on with something a little hard, like the nub of a lead pen or toothpick, or I use my fingernail, and it tends to work pretty good. And then these are actually stickers too. I thought this had decals as well. These are more of your dry stickers, or clear stickers that go on. To be honest with you, I was going to use these, but I don't like stickers. I prefer water slide decals. I may use some dry transfers, just because I like dry transfers, and they're so fun to use. As for these, I will not use these. I do not like stickers. I will hand paint my parts. Like with the eyes, I've already done the black in the video. The green, I will actually use on top of the black, I will paint the little recessed area white, and I will use a Testors. This green right here, it's been the closest match I could get to that green. It works really well. I think it shines a little brighter. This is a Testors. 1192 gloss bright green. This is an enamel paint. I prefer enamel with my model kits. Growing up doing model cars, enamel is the way to go. Never use acrylics. Doing like 1/6 scale figures and doll heads, I got into using acrylics only on that. A lot of water-based paints. This you have to use thinner to thin these. Which with what I'm gonna do for the eyes, I will not thin it. I will just go and paint it. Which an update on this, I have dull coated it or matte coat with the paint I had after painting, and so far it looks pretty good. Like I said, I'll paint the eye area white, and then I will go in and take and add the green after the white dries. I'll probably do a little bit of that off camera. So that way it's not to take up too much time, because this video is probably going to turn into a two-part, being as it's taking me so long and I'm discussing so much stuff. Just trying to be helpful to people that are new to the hobby or just want to watch my boring videos. Okay, so one thing I noticed about this kit, the little part right here does not come with a sticker or anything like that, which is really sad because the 1.0 kit didn't either, and I got to looking at this one and noticed that it didn't have them, so I just painted it, filled it in. This stuff, like I said, this paint, I go very thin with the white. A gray could work too. It's both front panels of the chest piece. Here, let me assemble it. I've went ahead and done the panel lining on the little neck pieces or collar. Clean them up. So let's see here. I don't know. On some of these kits, I don't really like the yellow. You can airbrush it. Just give it a good priming if you use my method. I will talk more about my mixture and the cheap Walmart paints I use. If you got the money, you've got a better airbrush, feel free to use the better paints. I actually bought some of them, and my airbrush will not push them, even when properly thinned. Which I plan on getting a better airbrush. But I mean, for right now, that was a free airbrush, and it works. It's actually meant for like makeup, and I have been happy with the results I've got from it so far. No complaints whatsoever, and I don't tend to airbrush at all. I either hand paint or I spray paint. And that is all I got to say about that. So yeah, like the first time, which I mean, I always take the new stuff like that pretty easily. With the airbrushing, it was really trial and error. But yeah, there we go. That is the chest unit complete, and I will probably do the head unit on the next video. It's getting late, and this is already turning into a really long video. So there's the chest unit. Panel line's done. Little piece for the shoulder, which is what I was talking about earlier. That would be visible and everything. But yeah, this is part one. I'll probably trim out a bunch of pieces. So that way I could just go ahead and panel line them, and then I can go ahead and slap the build together. And that'll be in the next video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, if you need any Gundams, go to Gundam Planet. They're really good people. That's where I buy all my kits. I've shopped with eBay. That's a place you want to go if you're 100% sure. Watch out for feedback, but definitely be careful with eBay. Unless you mess with like Apex Toys, which, if I'm not mistaken, is USA Gundam. I don't personally like to buy from their site, but nothing against them. I mean, I've bought from their eBay store. I know they're good people too, but definitely check out Gundam Planet. If you're into anything else like the Dragon Ball Z kits, frame arm girls, you need supplies. I got this Gundam marker. I got this one about a month or so ago, and it was on sale for like $2. I got my first one off of eBay, and it cost me like $8, and that is not ideal price to pay, being as they can be had cheaper. I didn't shop around, so that was my mistake. But definitely check them out, and thanks for watching.